Full disclosure, there will be spoilers for the manga up the wazoo. You know, as far as rom-com anime goes, you really can't go wrong with Kaguya-sama Love is War. This god-tier series has it all. Hysterical moments, real romantic chemistry, and memes of the highest order. As a dude who's a shameless fan of all things lovey-dovey, this manga was tailor-made for me. But the one thing Kaguya-sama surprisingly excels at is something that is so often present in manga of its kind, but at the same time, it's not. Yup, I'm talking about
Sex.
The standard formula for most romantic comedies of the teen manga variety is that two kids fumble around their own feelings and suffer amusing hijinks before eventually becoming the endgame couple and living happily ever after. And as great as that all is, you may have noticed that the issue of sex is conveniently absent in the equation. I'm not talking about sexual tension, because that's usually always there. I mean sex as an actual development. Now, it's been a few years since I've left the glorified prison cell that is high school, but last I checked, most relationships have to maneuver the landmine that is sexual desire, even if it's not something you particularly want. And yet, a lot of manga seem to struggle with the idea that wanting sex is a perfectly normal thing in a young relationship, or, God forbid, that underage teenagers actually have sex. Now, back in the early days of the series, there were a lot of offhand jokes about Kaguya's sexual innocence and Miyuki's monster virgin status. And that's pretty much the standard flair for a rom-com series. But whereas other series would have played it off as a one-off gag, these funny moments actually build up to something that is very crucial to the character's growth and the direction of the series. The idea that the majority of these teens do in fact want to get it on with each other. Anime viewers may remember that one episode where Kaguya pulls Miyuki into her bed for some canoodling, and how the latter got his ass kicked out of the manor in an admittedly hilarious scene. It could have just as easily been put to rest, but this event actually follows through into the next episode. Kaguya and Miyuki get legitimately upset with each other over this, and they go through the very teenager process of asking for advice and communicating their misgivings on something that even they don't fully understand. Amidst the jokes and amazing cutaways, the matter of sexual miscommunication is treated with actual seriousness. It's like, say, if the usual cliche of a male protagonist accidentally fondling the male girl's breast ended with a discussion on whether or not that qualified as sexual harassment. Now, you might be thinking, Toon Starters, is sexual inexperience with teenagers really that groundbreaking? And I'll be like, well, no, it's not. I mean, I grew up in the US where virgin jokes and raunchy sex comedies aren't exactly uncommon, and Japan has built a market over horny, desperate teens. But the difference that Kaguya-sama makes is that it doesn't treat sexual enlightenment as some romanticized, unobtainable nirvana. It just treats it as just another thing that humans naturally desire. And how does this series do that, you ask? By giving us teenagers that actually try to have sex, and in at least one case, succeeding. Now, let's go turn to our side characters for this one. You guys remember our lovably annoying secondary couple, Kashiwagi and Kashiwagi's boyfriend, right? They're pretty much our go-to example of how aggravating teenage relationships can be for all parties involved. And here's the thing, the series likes to milk the couple's supposed alpha dog status for some good laughs, but they're never shamed for having it, just bitched on for flaunting it all the time. But as time goes on, Kashiwagi and Kashiwagi's boyfriend become more and more comfortable at intensifying their relationship. We catch them multiple times making out in broad daylight, and it eventually escalates to the point where it becomes all but confirmed that yes, Kashiwagi and Kashiwagi's boyfriend did in fact heck. Now, I don't want to present myself as some authority on the culture of sex in Japan, because I'm honestly not. But the understanding I've gotten from the always accurate medium of manga is that sex is far too vulgar for self-respecting youths to pursue before marriage. And yes, the characters love to take jabs at the promiscuity of Kashiwagi's and Kashiwagi's boyfriend's relationship, but the series treats it as something that's not wrong, just different. I mean, hell, Aka basically set up Kashiwagi to get knocked up at 17, and if that isn't open-mindedness, I don't know what is. Now, the last example I want to bring up, I won't go too much into detail, because I think it's best to read firsthand. But yes, I'm talking about the time when Ishigami, our uncontested best boy, almost popped his cherry. The setup is that the class Madonna, Tsubame, offered herself up to Ishigami, and until the reasons for it were understood, They were one zipper away from getting it on. And if it weren't for those reasons, they would have done so with zero shame. I mean, our resident cockblocker Miko Ino didn't even berate him for it. Even she felt that consensual sex between teens, while lewd, isn't inherently immoral. And here's the real kicker. Ishigami and Tsubame weren't even dating when that happened. It was essentially set up to be a one-night stand, and it impresses me because in that moment, the series basically normalized that having sex and being in a committed relationship don't have to be inclusive of each other. Granted, I'm not saying the series is advocating one lifestyle over another. The characters all have different philosophies when it comes to sex, and all Aka is saying with this work is that no one way is best, and that asking questions to find the one best suited for you is perfectly natural. Now that I think about it, this kind of maturity when handling sexual matters is something that has been becoming more apparent in the turn of the decade. We've seen more stories that deal with sexuality like with O Maidens in our Savage season, or to a lesser extent, Stars Align, so I'm wondering if this change in portraying teenagers as questioning youths as opposed to adults in teenage bodies is marking some kind of cultural shift in Japan. Anyway, to summarize, a lot of manga likes to have its cake and eat it too. So many love to have things like accidental pervert moments and other sexually charged encounters, but not a lot of them likes to address or even confront how these characters handle it. It's a taboo where we like to poke fun of it as an outsider, but oftentimes, we're too afraid to step into that circle and experience it for ourselves. But Kaguya-sama isn't afraid. It takes that extra step and gives us an outlet to indulge in these inner reservations so that we as readers can feel like we're actually contributing to the growth of something while convincing ourselves into thinking that it makes us special for noticing it. It's no wonder that Reddit worships this thing. But yeah, that's my spiel on why its handling of sex is just one of the reasons why Kaguya-sama Love is War is one of the most definitive rom-com series in recent time. And if there's anything I hope you get out of this analysis thingy, it's that no matter how you feel about the series' messages and themes, what's truly important is that at the end of the day, we're getting a 4-page sex scene. Hey guys, thanks again for watching till the end of the video. I love Kaguya-sama Love is War, and I was so pumped to make this one. And if you'd like to see more content like this, you can show your support by liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing to my channel. Thanks guys!